Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors. Get all your hound hunting needs at conkeys.com. Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game. Need reliable housing for your animals? Animal Housing Solutions in Mayo, Florida builds custom coops, kennels, and shelters that are strong, durable, and designed with your animal's comfort in mind. Whether you need a large-scale kennel or a small custom chicken coop, they've got you covered. Quality craftsmanship, great service, and solutions built to last. That's the Animal Housing Solution promise. Check them out at Animal Housing Solutions on Facebook. Animal Housing Solutions, where your animals come first. Your dogs deserve the very best, and that's exactly what Elite Nutrition Canine Products delivers. Packed with premium ingredients and backed by science, their formulas are designed to boost energy, support joint health, and keep coats shiny and strong. Whether you've got a working dog, a hunting partner, or just a loyal best friend, Elite Nutrition gives them the fuel they need to thrive. Don't settle for ordinary. Choose the nutrition your dog deserves. Find Elite Nutrition Canine Products today and give your dog the Elite Edge. Go to shopeliteglobal.com and use the code TREE10 on your next purchase. I just look back. We've been trying to do this for well over a year.
I know.
So I knew it had been a while. I didn't quite realize it had been that long.
Yeah, it's been a while. Something always was coming up.
Yep. No biggie. At least we're finally getting to it. Typically start off with a story.
Okay. I got started back probably when I was about 4 or 5 years old in coon hunting. I got to go with my dad and basically started hunting with red dogs. That's all my dad ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So, now, he had a lot of the timber chopper breeding, which is way back in the day, and woodpecker breeding.
Okay.
So basically that's all I ever growed up around was red dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then probably about, after I got out of the house and got married, I got into English dogs. And that was back in the early 90s. Some of the best dogs I had was my Doc Holliday dog and a little female called Stitches. I've done a lot of winning with them in PKC and UKC. Put them in the top 100 in the UKC world a couple of times. So then it wasn't much longer than after that, I got wrapped up with UKC being the field rep.
Yeah. Well, let's start back with them red dogs. Well, before we even start with red dogs, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Doug Cundiff. I'm from Indiana. I'm 50. I just turned 60 years old.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You coming up on that retirement?
Yeah, but not soon enough.
I hear you. I think the minute my dad turned 60, he started counting down the days, weeks, months. So,
yep.
But, like I said, so let's start back with them red dogs. I mean, I haven't had too many people on here with red bones through the years just because they're not super common. So I really don't know a lot about red bones, but timber chopper is a name that I have heard. I did not realize how far back that went.
Oh, yeah. He goes back a good ways because back in the 70s and 80s is when they were pretty popular.
Okay.
So then Milton Strain, which a lot of people don't know who Milton Strain is, he owned the old woodpecker dog back in the early 70s. And I think he won the ACHA World Hunt with him.
Mm-hmm.
So
would you say the red bones back then were just as good or better than the average every other breed,
Yeah, there was just more of them back then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when I grew up in this part of the country, we didn't see that many walker dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of our guys hunted black and tans, a lot of the guys around here, and then my dad and a few others had red dogs, but that was just about, in this country around here, that's about all we had.
Okay.
So.
Interesting. I've always kind of wondered, obviously and have known the walkers weren't always as big as they are today, but it's just kind of interesting how the other breeds, the history of the other breeds and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, back then, I mean, your Walker dogs were still mainly the dominant dogs, but like our hunts around here, our club hunts, our regular use club hunts, we draw like 30 or 40 dogs.
Wow.
But you've seen a lot more black and tans, a few blue ticks, and then red dogs. Then there would be a few Walker dogs, but you just didn't see them like you did today.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least not in this part of the country.
Now it's probably all Walkers with maybe a blue tick or two or an English dog or two.
Yeah, it's mainly, there's a few English dogs, but mainly Walker dogs.
Yep. So then, what made you switch to English dogs then? If your dad was a redbone man.
Well, I went for a long time looking for a red dog because, like I said, that's all I grew up around. And I couldn't find nothing that pleased me and I couldn't enjoy. And I had a cousin out in Iowa call me up and he said, hey, he says, I got an English dog here you might be interested in, and I need to sell him because he had a family at the time and he was needing the money. So I went out there and tried him and I bought him, and that was back in 96, I think it was. Somewhere around in there, in the mid 90s, I bought that English dog, and I called him Doc Holliday. And I'd done a lot of winning with that old dog throughout the years, and that's when I got wrapped up and pretty well stayed with English dogs from there on.
Okay. See, I didn't even know so do you still have English today?
Yeah, I still got a couple English, well, they're young dogs right now, pups really.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I got an old Walker female is what I'm going to use to train them pups with.
Gotcha. Honestly, like, I have run into you and I've talked to you several times at different hunts and stuff, but I honestly never knew what you hunted.
Yeah, that's basically what I've hunted.
Because, like I said, we'll get into your time with UKC, but every time I've ever seen you, you're working as a master hounds and field rep for UKC. So
yeah, I don't get to hunt the hunts like I used to because I'm usually serving master hounds at the local hunts around here, or mainly wrapped up with UKC.
Yeah. Well, how did you even become, a field rep?
Well, I think it's going on 20, 21 years now. And my dad done them for 15, 20 years, was a field rep for under Steve Fielder at UKC.
Okay.
And he got out of it a couple of years after Alan Gingrich took over. I think my dad finally just got out of it, retired from it. And I was at the Automoke one year getting ready to enter, and Alan called me over to the side and he asked me if I'd be interested. And I said, well, I'll think about it. And, 3 weeks after the Automoke was over, Alan called me and we talked about it. And I've been doing it ever since. Like I said, it's going on, I think it's 20 or 21 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure when you first got started, you weren't quite as involved as you are today.
No. Back then, I mean, there was other field reps that had done it longer than I have, and they were more involved with the bigger hunts than what I was. And then as the years went on, a lot of these older guys got out of it, stepped down, and now I'm one of the oldest ones that's been there for a while.
Yeah.
I think Tim Gilchrist is the only one that's got time on me from Iowa. He's been there longer than I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're in Indiana, you kind of...
yeah, I get...
You're a little more central.
I get hammered a lot on being master hounds because a lot of the local breed hunts are within 3 or 4 hours of my house.
Yeah.
And a lot of the main events are right here too, pretty close. I think all the major events this year that I'm doing every one of them this year, the TOC, the World, Automokes again, of course, but
mm-hmm.
And then I'm doing black and tan days this year, English days, and Walker days. So, yeah, I'm going to be pretty busy.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely keeps you real busy.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. Meet a lot of good people.
Yeah. What's like, I don't know, the highlight or maybe one or two of like the best things that you've experienced with being a field rep and working for UKC?
Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's been a lot of good times. I mean, of course, my son-in-law. I don't know if you know him, but he kind of got wrapped up hunting got dating my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just tell you a story on this. My daughter met this boy and he kind of bashful around things about asking me about going hunting. And he finally, I told my daughter, I said, hey, if he wants to go hunting, you're not asking for him. He's going to have to ask me. So he finally asked me. Well, he got to hunting in the hunt. Well, I couldn't have no dog in my name to hunt in the bigger hunts.
Yeah.
So I ended up, he was doing real good with them. So I ended up putting the dogs in my dad's name or his name. Because like I said, the autumn oaks and stuff like that, he wanted to hunt, but they couldn't be in my name.
Yeah.
So, and he started hunting some hunts, and one of his biggest hunts, I was like his second or third year kind of getting into hunts. He hunted an English dog, which it was in my dad's name. He ended up placing him in the top 16 of the grands at Autumn Oak. Nice. And got into the final cast. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I thought, man, this is making me proud, but the dog ain't even in my name. So how they're in his name and my dad's name. But he ended up getting National Grand Night English that year. Then it wasn't like 2 or 3 years later, he started hunting for the Davenports.
Mm-hmm.
They hired him to hunt dogs. And, I'm being at the World Hunt, I'd serve as master hounds, but if my son-in-law, Cody Carter, ever had any questions, me and UKC always had hey, if he's got a question and I'm at master hounds that night, I'd step down. One of the other field reps would step in my spot.
Yeah.
That way there wasn't no controversy or, hey, this is this and all that. Mm-hmm. I'd step down if he had a question. But we were at the World Hunt there. He was hunting a cookie female for the Davenports.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wasn't working that night. And I was supposed to work the final cast. Well, he gets into the final 4 of the World Hunt. So I went to Alan and said, hey, I can't do this. And him and Trevor Wade agreed, yeah. So I went out on the final cast, and, that was one of the biggest thrills I ever had, sitting there as a spectator, knowing my son-in-law's out there, competing for the World Hunt.
Yeah.
And he won it,
mm-hmm.
And, he comes back to the truck, and, of course, he's talking to the Davenports. And one of the biggest thing I remember him calling my daughter home, and he was crying, saying, hey, I won it. Which, they were sitting there watching it live on their phones and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he comes up to me and he gives me a big hug, and I said, something, you've accomplished something that I've tried for 40 years to accomplish, and you do it in a 4 or 5 year period.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some stuff like that is serving. I was working, but yet I had to step off to the side.
Yeah.
Them are some of the enjoyments I've had working for UKC and being around it. And then there's been like some nights I've served as the master hounds on the final cast, like the Willie dog, the year he won it, of J.R. Graves.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little female in that cast that Jason Cooper had. He called Secrets. That was a pretty good hunt. Then of course, J.R. went on and won it. But there's been several hunts that I've served as master hounds on the final cast throughout the years. It's just been there. I mean, they're enjoyable.
Yeah.
All the guys are sportsmen, gentlemen. You get that far. Even if you don't win it, it's still a big accomplishment. And
Absolutely.
a lot of them guys are just tickled to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one year, the World Hunt was here in my hometown, Greencastle. And I wasn't even a master hounds or a field rep at the time. I ended up guiding the final cast. And There's a black and tan in it. I cannot think what that black dog's name was, but his ear dick brother's one with Tara. And this one boy with the black and tan dog, he took a bad break, but he was real good about it, real pleased about it. And I said, how? And I was like I said, I was just a guide, and I kind of looked at him and said, how'd you take that like that? He said, son, I'm just glad to be here. I paid $500 for this dog 2 weeks ago, and he's going to be the world champion black and tan.
Yeah.
There's times like that. There's been a lot of good times talking to these guys. And just like John Strickland last year winning it, he come up, and I was one of the first ones or few. He'd come up and give me a big hug, and he said, I've chased this since I've been a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
And the man broke down in tears.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just things like that, you don't realize that what these guys have worked for and accomplished that all the years and they win it.
Yep.
It's just amazing that, people think that's to win the UKC World Hunt is a big thing. Whether people believe it or not, it's a big thing.
Oh, it absolutely is. What do you have to win? Well, you don't have to win double cast wins in zones, but most of the time you do.
No. And, I probably shouldn't say this, but my opinion, of course, I'm a little prejudiced with UKC. My opinion, UKC is your only true world champion.
Okay.
Because you're not re-entering.
Mm-hmm.
You enter one time, and you got to win through the zones to keep going.
Yeah.
Once you're beat, there's no re-entering.
Yeah.
Like some of these others, you can re-enter to keep going.
I see what you're saying.
But UKC, once you're beat, you're beat. There's no paying another entry fee to try to keep going. You stop and think that dog wins the world hunt. He's won, 6 or 7 casts in a row to get that far.
Yep.
So.
And, there's a lot of dogs.
Oh, yeah.
That go from zones to, the final, what is it, 109 now?
106 still.
106.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I knew it was a few more than 100 now, but.
Yeah. I think it's 104. Take that back. It's 104.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But yeah, even just to get there is a pretty big accomplishment.
Oh, yeah. And, there's a lot of big name dogs that don't. No, there's a lot of good dogs that don't move on from that first night. I mean, it's not that they've had a bad night or something. It's just you get that far, them guys are packing dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I don't want to say it's the luck of the draw. I mean, but by the time you get up to that level, any dog could win that cast.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying. Of course, you got to have a little luck. I mean, here and there, but yeah, usually you got pretty good dogs.
Yeah. So I don't know how, you probably wouldn't, I don't know. I was going to ask, what's the worst, but then you probably don't want to talk about that. Because then you'll be probably throwing somebody under the bus.
Well, I can keep names out of it.
Okay, well, let's kind of go through it. What's some of the bad things you've seen? The people. There's a lot of people that don't competition hunt, or they compete on a local level, and they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of liars and cheaters and this, that, and the other. And you've seen it from the local level all the way to these big hunts, and you've been involved in a lot of it, especially as a master of hounds for a lot of big stuff. I'm sure you've seen your fair share of the negative.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the problem is a lot of the negative stuff that you get is people just don't comprehend the rules. I've been accused of, oh, this guy's your best friend. The only reason you're not going, you're ruling for him. And, if anybody knows me, you can bring a question to that table. And I've told my son-in-law this, you ever bring me a question, you better be 100% right if you think I'm going to rule against you. Rule for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who it is. I've got a lot of guys and people know me that I'm going to be fair.
Yeah.
Now, I've had guys bring in questions, something that happened at the beginning of the hunt, and they wait till the end of the hunt to want to bring it up. It's like, just for example, this year at the zones, I had a kid knew that one of these guys had the wrong collar on. He had the shocking collar on his dog,
yep.
which, the guy, you can carry it as long as you leave the unit in the truck.
Yep.
Well, this guy knew the whole time, supposedly, that this guy had an electric collar, one of them training collars on the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he couldn't never prove that the guy had the unit on him. Okay, never could prove it, but he said he did. And he'd come in at the end of the hunt once he got beat and wanted to bring it up.
Yep.
Which, he can bring it up anytime you want. And I said, but he told me he's had it on him all night long. And I said, well, why if you knew he had it on him at the beginning of the hunt and you knew he had it on him at the first tree, why did you wait till the end of the hunt to bring it up?
Yep.
Why didn't you try to catch him red-handed instead of waiting till you get back to the truck? Well, I don't know. The other two guys in the cast, it was a whole 4-dog cast. The other two guys in the cast didn't see it. So I couldn't do nothing with it.
Mm-hmm.
But the kid that brought it up, the other cast member said the dog was screaming and squalling like at the last tree. And they couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, that kid had somehow put that unit in, the collar unit in that guy, in his Garmin somehow throughout the night, and he was trying to get that dog off that tree.
Mm.
Then that's some of the things I run into. It's just people don't stop and think, before they start doing things.
Yeah.
For most of all, it's been good.
Yeah.
Throughout the years. I could count on my hand, maybe one or two hands, or both my hands, that maybe I've had some really serious issues. But it's not nothing that, it's just lack of knowing the rules.
Yeah.
It's never, for the most part, people give the coon hunters a bad rep because, oh, you're no good and all that because you're out there all hours of the night. But for the most part, a coon hunter ain't that bad a guy.
Yeah.
To get to know them, you got to get to know them because, they're not that bad. It's just something a guy enjoys. A guy likes to coon hunt just like a little kid likes to play baseball or basketball.
Yep.
It's just our sport when we get older.
I don't even think you got to be older. Heck, I started coon hunting when I was, right out of high school. So,
yep.
That's all.
There's a lot of guys. Like my son-in-law, he didn't know. The first time he went hunting with me, I dumped the dogs out of the truck, and I don't leave the truck until I have to.
Okay.
Well, he'd been hunting with a couple of people like through high school. They go through the woods chasing the dogs like you see on the red fern groves.
Yeah.
Well, I turned him loose and sit on my tailgate, and he gets up like he's going to take off. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, don't you have to stay after them dogs?" I said, "Buddy, I don't walk nowhere until they get treed. I don't go nowhere."
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's the way it is, But like I said, I growed up with it, since I was 5 years old. I can remember going to the hunts with my dad. And back then, we didn't have PKC hunts or anything. You had UKC hunts, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I could remember waiting for my dad to get home on a Friday night, from work. I'd have all his hunting stuff sitting at his back door, just waiting for him to get home so we could load up to go to a hunt. I mean, we'd drive 3 and 4 hours some nights just to go to a hunt.
Yeah. Probably weren't near as many hunts back then, I would imagine.
No, because like you said, you had UKC hunts, and that's basically it. Mm-hmm. And like our club, we'd have like club hunts maybe once a month. Well, heck, we'd have 20, 25 dogs at our club hunts, just little old club hunts.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. I was telling you how I always waited for my dad to get home to load up to go hunting. We were over in Illinois one night, coming home, and, of course, I'm 11 or 12 or younger. Usually I didn't make it home. I'd always fall asleep.
I would have too.
Yeah, we get coming home, and I don't know, Dad got tired or something, and he pulled off the interstate and pulled off on the little exit ramp and pulled off. Well, I just happened to wake up and just scared the living daylights out of me. I thought Dad had run off the road. And I started screaming and hollering and, and scared to death. And he wakes up, what's wrong with you? And I said, you've run off the road. He said, no, I haven't. He said, I pulled off because I got tired. And of course, I'd calm down. He said, well, guess I'm not tired no more. He said, you scared me so bad, I'm driving the rest of the way home.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But I could see it. I mean, I probably, if I woke up, you think you're supposed to be moving, and all of a sudden you're pulled off on the side of the road.
Yeah, we were like, what's going on? And, back then there wasn't no lights on them exits. It was just dark.
Yeah. How did your dad get into coon hunting?
I couldn't really tell you. All I know is like when he was a little kid, they had a little old cur dog there that run around the house, and him and his brothers would rabbit hunt it and squirrel hunt it through the day. Mm-hmm. And then like at night, they didn't have very many coon back then because, he'd go out at night, him and his brothers, they'd tree possums.
Yep.
And he said, if you seen a coon track along the creek, you didn't say nothing to nobody. He said, because if somebody back then seen a coon track along the creek, they were down there trying to kill that coon.
Yeah.
And he said that you may go 3 or 4 nights and not even, might tree a coon, you might not. But he said they made their money off possums back then.
I've heard similar stories from my grandfather.
Yep.
Granted, he wasn't much of a coon hunter, but he had some mixed up dogs here and there, and he said they hunted a lot of skunks and possums when he was a kid.
Yeah, well, I don't know I never heard no skunk stories, but he said the possums were thick back then.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wonder why that was. Why would possum be thick but coon weren't?
No, I don't know. I don't know if it was, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they just didn't have the dog power and stuff like that back then. And the coons were there, but mm-hmm. I don't know. When I was growing up, like 15, 16 coons were worth $30 and $35.
Yeah.
And it was hard to tree coons because everybody and their brother had a dog.
Yeah.
And people hunted back then. You'd hunt almost the same woods all the time because, the farmers around here were big farmers, and they all, they just let everybody hunt.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They wanted them gone. It ain't like it is today where we got so many coon that, it's people won't hardly let you hunt.
Oh yeah. That's getting
and
harder.
I think it's harder and harder to find places. And I think that's why we got so many coons today. People the prices are down, which I'm glad of that. I like coon hunt. I didn't care about the prices. But in their cooners, because people won't let you hunt anymore like they used to.
Yeah. I kind of agree on the prices, but at the same point, I think if they were at least good enough that it was worth skinning some coon, it'd be nice.
Yeah, at least I can understand that. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to pay for dog feed and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But a lot of people, it, it's more of a competition thing anymore. It's not about
Hmm.
hide hunting. It's all about the big money hunts and stuff now. You don't hear like back when I was a kid. Hey, we killed 100 coon this winter.
Yeah.
You don't hear that anymore. It's
No.
about it's hey, you see such and such won the truck hunt, or they won $10,000 this week.
Oh yeah.
It's turned into that,
Hmm.
which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but
No, I think that's a lot of the reason there's as many coon hunters as there are. I
yeah.
think, we probably would be a much smaller group if that didn't exist.
Oh, guarantee you.
So,
I guarantee you, if there wasn't the big money hunts involved, you wouldn't see a lot of these guys hunting.
hmm.
Not like they do. Not like they do.
Yeah. No, because I mean,
You
there's,
know.
the top
So you,
probably 25 or 50 people that coon hunt. I'm not saying they all make a living at it, but they all make decent money at it.
oh yeah. Well, and you see a lot more people. You see a lot more hired handlers today
Oh yeah.
than you did 15, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Because you can
You
afford
know.
to with
Yeah.
the big
I mean,
purses.
yeah. Then there's some guys down here in the summertime. That's how they make their living. They hunt they hunt these dogs for these guys, and that's all they do.
Yeah.
They hunt. That's their job.
Yep. Conkey's Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkey's motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkey's carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well.
So I kind of wish that happened about 20, 25 years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have to work every day.
Exactly. You would have been paid handler, huh?
Yeah, it'd been nice.
I'm sure if you stepped away from old UKC, somebody'd snatch you up. You know them rules better than just about everybody.
Well, they might, but I don't know if the old body could handle going like these guys go today.
That is true.
I mean, some of these guys, man, they get it. They hunt it pretty hard.
Yeah. I went on I've been on went to the Joy Dog Food Super Hunt the last several years.
Yeah.
And this year, man, we walked our guts out.
Oh, I bet.
I think we covered like 6.5 miles, and I don't know, like it's technically a 2-hour cast, but I think by the time it was all said and done, it was like 3 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then you hope that you walk through the next section and somebody can come around and pick you up.
Yeah. They kind of came and got us. I mean, we still had to
Yeah.
trudge a good ways out of the woods, but it wasn't near as far as just back to the truck.
Yeah.
And then we had,
Hey, nowadays you need a good truck man.
yeah, no kidding. The way these dogs hunt, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You didn't, back a few years ago, you never thought about, I mean, you enjoyed seeing a dog get off by themselves, but you didn't see it as much as you do now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I hope nobody takes me wrong when I say this, but 20, 25 years ago, you had to have a decent dog, but you also had to be on your toes to be a good handler.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to be that good handler as much as you do because your dog's off by yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have 3 or 4 dogs running the same track.
No, I see exactly what you're saying, and I mean, when I've hunted on like a local level, at least I mean where I live, you still tend to see some of that. But
Yeah,
once you kind of get up into the, like you said, the zones that, you start working your way up to the bigger stuff or bigger money hunts, like you don't see that ever. And you're exactly
No.
right. Like you can let that dog settle in on a tree for, 2 or 3 minutes and make sure he's right before
Yep.
you make the call. As long as you're not walking away from him,
Yep. Yep.
If that dog needs to settle because something's not quite right, you don't have to necessarily call that dog right away a lot of times.
No. Back in the day, you had to know a dog's locate.
Yeah.
You had to know that dog.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing today. And back in the day, you never had to worry about a dog getting out of the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of these guys today said, well, I lost my dog the last 20 minutes, got out of the pocket and he's been treed, but can't hear him. You didn't see that years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have a dog that, well, now you almost got to have a woods big enough to hold a dog for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
25 years ago or so, you could move and hunt 3 or 4 woods.
Yeah.
Now especially when you get up into the zones and world hunt and stuff like that, you're not moving.
No.
Yeah, you're stuck in that woods.
Because you're going to have 4 dogs split 4 different ways, all about a mile apart.
Yeah. And it's getting tougher. Like some of these people, they can't hold them big hunts because they don't have the ground.
Yeah. I know my local club, we don't even hold sectionals because we don't have, big spots. We don't have enough guides. And, so that's a big reason we've even, stopped doing some things. It's like, while we would love to have bigger and more hunts, but we're limited on spots. And so.
Yep. And if you don't have a lot of state ground, for some of these guys to go on, I mean, you can't hardly hold a big hunt.
Mm-mm.
I mean, we still, like the last few years, we've held the TOC finals, and we've still got a lot of ground. A lot of these guys that hunt still got a lot of ground that you can turn them loose on. But some of the places, I mean, if a dog goes too far, he's crossing the main road.
Yeah.
And it's getting tough.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I was at Black and Tan Days, not last year, but the year before, and there was a dog that he hit him. I don't say it, he had a gravel road, but he crossed a blacktop road, and he ran straight down that gravel road and fell off of it and treed all right off of it.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, I don't remember what year it was, but I remember I know everybody knows Seth Ish.
Mm-hmm.
He had a dog he called Ringo, and the zones was down here in Clay City, Indiana, and that's been a long time ago. And I was judging and guiding that Ringo dog Seth. We were going up this gravel road, and we seen this coon cross the road. Well, I wasn't going to turn loose there. I said, I'm going to go on up the road here. We went, I'm not kidding you. Seth's dog started opening in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I went up the road another 1.5 miles, 2 miles. Hey, that dog, as soon as we turned him loose, that dog went running up that road, went all the way down that road, struck that coon and treated it. And I was like, I cannot believe that. And Seth told me, he says, how far are we going? I said, I'm just going up here another 1.5 miles, 2 miles, something like that. And he says, that ain't far enough. I said, you're kidding me. And I was thinking Seth was joking with me at the time.
Yeah.
He said, no. I said, well, we only got like 15, 20 minutes left to hunt. I'm going to turn loose here. Hey, that dog went that far and got treed before the hunt was over.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, when he pulled him out, we stuck that dog in the woods. He didn't even join that woods. He peeled and went right straight down that road, going as hard as he could go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't have Garmin's back then. I think he just had the beep, and that was it.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we heard him. I mean, it was flat enough where we were at that night. I mean, we heard him. The only good thing about that, the hunt was over and we got to drive down there to him. We didn't have to do that walk.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I understand it. I get it. But I selfishly don't like it, is that you can't drive sometimes.
Oh, I know. Hey, there's probably a lot more than that goes on than what people, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least now, I mean, there was times that you couldn't even hardly drive at all.
Mm-hmm.
And now at least, I mean, you can drive some now.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's people sitting at the truck that helps you out too after you walk that far. But
yeah,
you used to have them truck drivers like you do now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of guys, once they get to a certain level, almost everyone's got a truck guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't get to you get down to the final 25 at the top 20 of the world hunt and stuff like that. Hey, them guys have all got a backup handler there at that truck.
Yep.
So.
For sure. So what else in coon hunting do you want to accomplish?
I would like one more time to have I like to have a good English dog one more time to try to run the world hunt.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'd have to give up my rep job to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not allowed, even though I'm not working like the world hunt or something like that, we're not allowed to hunt it.
Yeah.
You know, because even though we're not really physically employed with UKC, we're still involved with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. I see it from their standpoint. They don't want.
I do too.
They don't want, you to win it and be like, well, he's like one of UKC's top field reps. Yeah, of course he won it,
Yeah. Yeah, and of course you'd hear it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, whether, it wouldn't matter what happened. I mean, just like the year Cody won it with Cookie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I stepped out of that final cast.
Yeah.
You know, didn't have nothing to do with it, nothing. I was just a spectator. But before it was all said and done, we heard things.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, and it hurt me. Cody held nothing. He didn't care. He was still young enough. It didn't bother him. But as long as I've been in it, and been involved, it hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
People saying stuff like that. I mean, and there's been a few times that I've thought about stepping down because of things getting put on Facebook, social media, And if people know me good enough, they're going to know that, hey, it's going to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to favor. I don't care if I'm best friends with somebody. He's going to get the same treatment as if the other guy that I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not here to show favoritism.
Mm-hmm. No, and I think you've got a pretty good track record of that to back that up too. I've heard a lot of, about you as a person through my dealings with Alan and Trevor, and also just the events that I've been to, and so.
Yeah.
I think you definitely have you're very well known for being fair and honest.
Well, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Well, out of curiosity, I understand you have an affinity towards UKC, especially with your association with them. But why not try to make a run at like PKC or Pro Sport or something like that?
Well, see, the the year that Cody placed the English dog in the, well, he won National Grand Night Champion English.
Mm-hmm.
I hunted that dog in the ACHA Little World Hunt and placed him fourth.
Okay.
You know, PKC, I just don't have enough time, with taking vacations, family vacations with my grandkids, and
yeah,
enjoying them. And my UKC, I don't really have a whole lot of time to run the PKC thing.
I understand.
It ain't nothing against them. I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy the PKC hunt, but I just don't have time to push it like that.
Yeah.
So, but like I said before, if I could ever have a good enough dog, I thought that I could win the UKC World Hunt, I'd give it a shot.
Well, everyone listening, beware. If you ever see Doug step down from UKC, he's packing some heat.
Something. I'm packing something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Alan would let me step down or not. I may have to step down for a year or so. But if I had something to push in that World Hunt, I'd step down for a year or so. Guarantee you.
Mm-hmm. And of all the people out there, you know what it takes. You've been on enough final casts, and you know the kind of dog it takes to win these big hunts. Yep,
and I'll tell you what, sometimes the best one don't always win.
That's absolutely a fact.
I mean, I'm just not saying that to be mean towards anybody. I mean, you just got to have the right dog at the right time doing the right thing.
Yeah. No, I've heard of so many casts where it's like the dog that won, it was a fluke thing. A bad call made by the handler, lost it for the best dog. Just dumb luck sometimes, Yep.
So, like I said, sometimes it just takes the right thing, being at the right time, at the right place.
Yep. You talk to enough competition hunters, they talk about the breaks and how you've got to have a break here and there in order to, especially if they've won a world hunt, it's like somewhere along the way, something just went their way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, and just like this past year, well, the little dog, the Stricklands, I mean, nice little female, done a lot of winning. But like the first 35, 40 minutes, she was in a cornfield.
Mm-hmm.
And the other dogs had made a couple, 3 trees. They were dens or something like that. But then the last hour and 15 minutes, buddy, she put on a clinic.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you'd like hunted an hour, and Strickland would probably tell you the same thing, if you'd have hunted an hour, he'd probably got beat.
Mm-hmm.
But that last hour and so, buddy, she went to, it's just like she finally got that track out of that cornfield. I think there were so many tracks in that corn that she was struggling just to get away, get one out. But once she got them out of there, bud, she went to work.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, I mean, and John would tell you the same thing. It's just, hey, that first 35, 40 minutes thinking, man, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
And then, boom, she just went to work and started training coon. And the other dogs were either dens or just bad breaks.
Yep.
So, you just got to have sometimes a good dog, but you also got to have some luck, too.
Oh, absolutely. We circle back to, just having good luck or a bad break. Black and Tan Days a couple years ago. Guys had thermals, could see the coon clear as day in the middle of this tree. But Black and Tan Days is early May. Them trees are full of leaves. Yep. Could not see that coon for anything without thermal. No one could. Yep. And the guy got all mad about it. He's like, everyone can see it. And it's like, you're not allowed to score off a thermal. That's the rule.
Yeah.
Like, we hate that for you, buddy. Like, no one was like trying to, go against the guy. It was like, we all know your coon's here.
Yep.
But we can't see him without a thermal.
Yep.
And the guy got so mad about that and was like, it's just a bad break. Your dog did its job. We get it. Everyone knows it. Unfortunately, you're not getting minus. It's a circle tree, but it's just not
he needed
helping
it
you.
to win it. Yep. Well, back in it might have been 96 or 97, I was hunting my Doc Holliday dog. I was in the top 100. First night, he gets in there and gets treed. I got to have this coon to win to go to the top 20. We get walking to him, and all of a sudden, he shuts up. Okay, this dog don't shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, what the heck? And all of a sudden, we heard a coon squalling. So we go up there. He was treed on a little bush because he just, what do you want to say, bushwhacked it.
Yep.
And I thought, well, whole time, I'm 20, late 20s, early 30s. I'm thinking, buddy, I've got this. I'm going to the top 20 of the world hunt. And this breaks out.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 minutes, we didn't hear nothing. For, the 2 minutes catches me. I take 125 minus.
Ooh.
I'm beat. That beat me right there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Anyway, we heard that coon start squalling. And I don't know if he started jumping or what at the tree. But anyway, he pulled that coon out of that tree.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know when the 2 minutes caught him, he started jumping. He knew he about had that coon. I don't know. But anyway, it cost me.
Yep.
Just stuff like that. Hey, I was like that guy. Man, I sure would. I'd like to have that tree, but I couldn't get it.
Yep.
Just part of it. Just the brakes.
It is.
But, I walked back to the truck. I was a sick puppy.
I'm sure. Granted, I've never been a big competition hunter. I've only ever entered a dog that I owned one time, and then I've hunted a couple of other ones for some local guys. But I've walked my fair share of casts, just either being a guide or a spectator, and luckily I've gotten to see some big hunts and walk along on some pretty big casts, and so I've seen, the spectrum of dog power on these things. But yeah, you're 100% right. It's some nights it's like it's all a matter of just the luck.
Yep.
Because I've seen, like we've said, I've seen the best dog not win.
Oh yeah. And like I said, it's either a handler mistake or just little things.
Yeah.
It don't have to be nothing big. It's just sometimes the best dog don't always win.
Yep.
The majority of the time, I'm going to say 75 to 80%, they do.
Yeah.
But there's that 10 and 20% that, something happened, the best dog didn't win.
Yep. I would agree. If you're my one buddy, I mean, it was a little higher percentage. He had a knack for losing hunts for his dog.
Yeah, there's some guys out there like that. They're usually not paid handlers only.
No, definitely not. Because he always joked, he's like, man, I need a handler, because he's like, I can't win for this dog. He goes, I shoot this dog in the foot every time.
Yeah.
So, well, Doug, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, not really. Not unless you got something you need to ask. I'm good.
No, I really appreciate you doing this. Like I said, we in the beginning of this, we've been trying to do this one for a couple years now, and I really appreciate you sitting down and talking to me.
All right. Well, anytime, bud. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.